Hello and welcome to an edition of the LCM Show. I'm joined by DJ Lee Drummond, who is a DJ in Luton, and his station is called Soul Reminisce. So I'm so glad that he's speaking to me because I am so inspired by the way that he's helped me and promoted me as an artist. And he's a great supporter. So I'm just so happy that we're having this little conversation going on here. So, Mr. Lee Drummond, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. As you can see, the weather over here is beautiful, lovely, stunning sunshine, beautiful seas. I've got to admit, I dipped my toes in there a little bit earlier on. It's a bit chilly in the water, but you know, once you get your whole body in there, it's all great. And then you come out and just lie down under the palm tree and just bask in the beautiful sunshine. I'm not going to tell anyone where I am because then my bosses might say that I'm going to have to socially isolate for 14 days when I come back. So I'm keeping that a little bit of a secret. So, you know, they're not fully aware. But yes, you know, kind of keeping away from that COVID situation at the moment as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, indeed. Backdrops can just change people's lives altogether. Okay, sorry, I've blown cover on that. I'm hoping that you're having a great time in the Caribbean. I'm sure you are, I can tell.
Absolutely. Fantastic time.
Okay, so let's get going with the questions. Just wanting to really know what your typical day is like now since COVID circumstances have arisen. Obviously, there's a lot of things being eased off and trying to get back to normality as much as possible. But can you tell me, how has the current circumstances affected you as a DJ?
From a DJing perspective, it has crashed the industry, really crashed the industry. You know, all DJs work on, you know, the premise that you do a promotion, you want people to come to a venue, they come en masse to a venue, and even the festivals. I mean, you know, it's bank holiday weekend, you know, we've got carnival, you come out en masse. You know, the social distancing quite clearly is something that, you know, doesn't really work in those kind of circumstances, whether it's a festival, whether it's inside, whether it's outside, concert hall. And even from an artist perspective, you know, we do promotions for artists, we have them on stage, we bring them from the US, from Canada, from the UK, and they come and they perform. They're on stage to, you know, we're talking about social distancing now. How does that work? You have to screen people off. And then you've got the crowd in front of you. For example, even today, you know, you've got the massive football match that's on at Wembley. So two big football matches on at Wembley Stadium today, side by side, the Women's League, you know, and the men's, and you got, you know, Arsenal versus Liverpool. No one is allowed to go. How can you continue, you know, to promote in an industry where people need to be very close? You know, our industry is based on emotion, and the emotional content is transferable, possibly in the same way that COVID is, you know, over very short distances. In fact, sometimes over long distances. You know, I know that, you know, when I've been down at Notting Hill Carnival and I've been on the stage and I look, you know, all the way back across 2,000 people, you are transmitting that emotion across a very large distance to thousands of people. And those people themselves then, from a shoulder to shoulder perspective, look at each other, feel the vibrations from each other, and they transmit that emotion through their emotion, through the music, and then back again to the person who is playing the music or is comparing on stage, who is the DJ. So we as DJs, we feed off of the general public. I know that at this moment in time and over the last 7 months, lots of DJs have been on air more than they ever have been, much more. We've had DJs who are not even DJs who are coming on air. We've got artists who think to themselves, well, okay, I'm going to play some music as well. And the reason being is that we do not want to stop this kind of collective emotional foray from being portrayed, because if that stops, then you're taking away from the industry something that generation upon generation is the one thing that unifies us all. Doesn't matter what color you are, what race, what creed, what gender, how tall you are, how short you are. It does not discriminate whatsoever when we're playing music. And it is the one time, I know we've been talking about Black Lives Matter, but it is the one time when we talk about all lives matter, because the music is totally universal. And at the moment, we are on a shutdown, but still we try to do things like Zoom, Twitch, Facebook Live, Twitter, you know, on Periscope, People are now moving, into other avenues. Mixcloud is now allowing you to do live streams. You've got DJs doing 3-hour sets, 4-hour sets, 5-hour sets. I know of a DJ, in fact, he broke a world record while in COVID. He would not have done this if COVID hadn't happened. He broke the world record for the longest DJ set, 51 hours.
Wow.
51 hours. He decided while he was on lockdown, while he couldn't go anywhere, while he had no work, his income is not coming, he decided, I'm going to do a few things. He did a few mixtapes, and he did a 51-hour set and broke what would have been the current world record for the longest DJ set. So it's had its pros and cons. What are we going to do? Artists like yourself, as you mentioned earlier, we've been supporting you. I met you on the fly. I've known you ever since. You brought out the LCM album, first and foremost. Then, there were more singles. We got you into certain venues. We asked you to perform. We see you supporting artists like Kindred, and thousands of people come to see Kindred. Then they see you as well. That's the kind of generation and vibration of emotion that music does. It introduces us to different sounds, different people, different vibes, different atmospheres. And that is something we can't afford to lose. We cannot lose this. How are we going to go back to it? Well, I don't know. I really don't know how we're going to go back. They talk about the normality. There is not going to be going back to the norm. There will be a new dawn. It will be a new era of how we perform, how we entertain, how we promote. And I think we have to sit down and do lots of brainstorming of different ideas as to how we can get this back to an entertainment industry that will be different, but will still produce that energy and that vibration, and still allow artists like yourself to get on a stage and perform to thousands of people without losing the financial income that you've been accustomed to. And I think that's very important, because if you lose that, we lose you.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously there have been a lot of negative and positive things within this current time. So how are you going to celebrate this new way of having carnival? Because they're saying that we're going to have an online carnival now. I don't know exactly how it's going to be viewed in that, but do you usually go to the carnival?
I must admit, I used to compare on the stage at Carnival, one of the big stages at Carnival. I did that for about 4 or 5 years. And, then I'm kind of moved on to do other things. I've done Rotterdam Carnival as well. So the Rotterdam Carnival is another carnival. I'm not really sure how they're going to do that over there in Rotterdam. I'm not sure they're in lockdown the same way as we are. I used to still go to the carnival. You go to see the processions. You've got all of these carnival, elements. What about the procession? What carnival is all about? The mass, the mass carnival, the procession, the steel bands. These people have spent hours upon hours making costumes, readying themselves for this mass procession and the competition. In Luton, there was a Luton Carnival, should have been in May, cancelled. All of these, Leeds Carnival is supposed to be this weekend as well. What is going to happen to all of those people who have been making costumes? Yes, the streaming online. Will I be watching it? Of course I'm going to watch it. We don't want to miss out. We want to see what everybody's doing. We also want to see how the industry will work with the streaming. So I think we'd be foolhardy as entertainers to not watch it online, because we need to see, does it work? We also need to see how many people join it, because that's going to be the big question. Does it still portray the same kind of excitement and interest for people to sit at home, log online? Now, we know that loads of you, I'm sure that you might have hidden it in the background there, have got one of these 52-inch flat screen TVs, or you've got your cinema room, at home, where you can accommodate 8 or 10 people in a bubble. They keep talking about these bubbles, and you attach it to your sound system or your sound bar, and you make it happen in your own house. And there'll be lots of bubbles all over the place where people can have their virtual carnival at home while watching on screen. It's going to be very interesting to see how a procession is going to be portrayed. You may actually find in some ways you gain the detail of some of the costumes and some of the artists that are performing, because obviously a camera can zoom in much closer than you could if you're in a crowd of thousands of people. We all know that when you're out in the carnival, sometimes you miss certain things and your friends nudge you. Did you see that? Did you? You go, no, I missed it. What happened? You can't go back. But at least with a stream, not only can you watch it and you can, the cameras will zoom in on certain aspects, but if you miss a thing, you could pause and rewind and go back to it and have another look. So again, yes, we have the negative aspects, you're not there. But the positive side, I suppose, is that at least it hasn't been totally cancelled. I mean, that would have been the worst thing is if we had nothing to watch.
Yeah, at least an effort has been made to capture what we're used to. Can you tell me a bit about your kind of music you was listening to as a child? What kind of music did you grow up on?
Yes, I mean, coming from an African Caribbean family, my parents have a Jamaican heritage. I grew up listening, in actual fact, more to reggae music. As much as I play a lot of soul and lots of people regard me as a soul DJ, I grew up on reggae music. My sisters who are slightly older than me, they were into their reggae music more so than soul music. And my dad, who was in fact part of a sound system as well, not heavily into it, but he was part of one. And, the usual West Indian parties at home, the speaker boxes suddenly appeared and you're a young child and you're thinking, what's going on? And you're told to go to bed, but you don't. You sit at the top of the stairs and there's loads of people in the house who you've never seen before. And the music is just booming through a sound system. And my dad had a record collection, and it's back to the days of vinyl. And it's funny how there's a resurgence of vinyl. I think today is a celebration of vinyl and vinyl stores. And there's actually, this reproduction of vinyl. And there's going to be a celebration, which I think, again, is going to be online, about vinyl in the days of vinyl. So artists like, John Holt, the Heptones, records like Skenge, taking you back to the day, She Wears My Ring, and me sitting on the stairs watching big people dancing was my first introduction to, the kind of entertainment industry and how music brings people together. And that was from a very young age. And, I took 7-inch singles, when I was a very, very young child and thought that they were Frisbees and then didn't appreciate it until I got a little bit older. Yes, a few of my dad's vinyl didn't quite live to see the day. And now I totally appreciate how important those little black discs of plastic were, to somebody who plays music and somebody who wants to entertain. My vinyl collection grew and grew and grew and grew over the years. And I transitioned from listening to, Tony Williams on a Sunday, David Ruddigan, who is still prolific today as far as the reggae industry is concerned, has written books, won awards, and has pulled together, the elements of reggae music from Prince Buster, right down to the ragga of present day. So my transition moved from David Ruddigan, Tony Williams, to then start to listen to people like Greg Edwards and Robbie Vincent. And Robbie Vincent, in actual fact, was one of the soul DJs that I listened to quite extensively, who really forged my interest in soul music and rare groove, what we call rare groove now, popularized by, UK DJs, and then started to, get me more interested in listening, collecting, and then eventually DJing myself. And getting into the world of DJing wasn't easy because you had to buy the equipment. The equipment's not cheap. Or you joined an existing sound system, which, at the time I didn't really have that kind of affiliation. So I worked my way from the bottom up, me and a friend of mine. He in fact acquired some small 100-watt speaker boxes and an all-in-one Garrard double-deck turntable. And we started to do a few house parties for friends. And we just grew slowly but surely into this world of entertainment, learning from other DJs, watching other DJs, going to places like Notting Hill Carnival, trying to get yourself involved, being a box boy for other sounds so that you can, see how it works. What is the industry? What equipment do you need? And then just slowly growing and building that little element of reputation. It's been a long time coming, and fortunately, I've got to find some wood, touch wood. There's that tree behind me. Let's touch wood on this tree. you know, I'm still here, still doing it. Lots of DJs have gone by the wayside and fallen away from the industry, but there are still those diehards who are out there who are still trying to keep the entertainment industry alive.